So welcome guys in my session Agile Coaching and Trainings. Today's day is 22 and today's topic is Agile Common Issues. So guys, we know that while implementing Agile in any particular project or with particular team, we face some sort of issues. Say for example, I'm giving a very simple example. uh, as a scrum master or as a product owner, I am running ceremonies with my team, and out of 10 team members, only one or two persons are communicated or speak in that particular ceremony or in that particular meeting. Rest of the team member are just sitting silently, they are just listening. Sometime I think they are even not listening. So this is a common problem. Or I already spoke with my team members, I already educated with my team members many times, but still my team members are doing same mistakes in day-to-day life or in everyday life. So these are issues I am facing. Now as a scrum master, if I am facing this issue and if I am communicating with others, scrum master or product owner or agile coach, at that time I found that out of 10, almost 7 to 8 issues are common with each and every team members. So what kind of issues are there and how to deal with these issues, how to tackle with these issues, we will see today. So first we will see what is the agenda of our today's session. So first agenda, there are 5 points in our agenda, and first point of our agenda is dealing with a difficult team. This is really a very hard agenda, guys, because to deal with hard team is really very difficult. Dealing with mini waterfalls. Now what is mini waterfall? So I'll provide you information on these area. Maybe you guys are also working in mini waterfall, that's why you are not getting the proper 100% result from agile after implementation. When there are problems with product ownership, so I'm working with team. I'm providing the roles and responsibility to everybody, each and every team members. Even I have provided the responsible person's name, contact number, and email address. But still, if these guys are not following their ownership, their responsibilities, then how to deal in such areas? Because agile is a running clock, and clock never stop for anybody in any situation. So how to deal with such situation and how to handle it, I'll provide information in our third point. We have too many meetings. This is a very basic and very common problem in every agile framework. The team members started communicating, or team members started complaining to their scrum master or their agile coach, and sometime the war zone started on this line, that we are completely busy in our meetings. So when we will do our technical work and when we will finish it and when we will provide it to our client. So how to deal with too many meetings, or how to reduce these too many meetings in fewer meetings. So I will provide information on these areas also. Fifth point is problems with deadlines. So guys, this happens usually, that there are some sort of problems with deadlines. So who will decide the deadlines, how to communicate or how to set up these deadlines? So I will provide information in this area. So starting with our first point, dealing with difficult teams. So guys, have you worked with those team who are working in organization from past more than 10 years in same fashion or in same methodology? Now, if I'm saying I had a project team where almost 40 plus team members are available, whose age are 40 plus, and these all team members are working in organization from last more than 10 years, and these every team member or every team is working in traditional methodology from last 10 years. Now these guys are very much comfortable in this area, and if somebody says we have to implement some sort of change or we have to make some sort of change, then these guys are not ready to accept it, not even a single person ready to accept it. So maybe in other language I may say everybody from this team is a devil's advocate. So these guys refuse to accept changes. These guys are refused to accept new roles and responsibilities. These guys are refused to change their life or change their mindset. Now, how to deal with these teams? So guys, when you are appointed as an agile coach for such kind of teams or such kind of projects, at that time management introduce you very well with team members that he or she is an agile coach, and going forward this person will take care of your team. Now if you see the faces of your team members, you are not surprised or you are not like those faces, because these guys are not ready to accept any change. So after this meeting, maybe your team members try to avoid you or try to prove that how their their methodology or their working culture is much better than agile. They will provide you the flaw or the disadvantages of agile, like how agile is failing or how agile is bad. So good coach or good enterprise agile coach always started their job with listening areas. So he or she should be a very good listener. You can listen all the things, you can accept all the things, because these you have to handle the situation. Now you can start communicate with each and every team members, or maybe in a bunch of team members, like what exactly they are doing, what kind of this project is. You are completely new. Say for example, I management appointed me as an agile coach for operation team. So I'll speak with them, hey guys, I'm completely new in your operation team. I don't know how to make a operation, because I know the doctor can do the operation only, so I know that operation. I don't know how to do the operation in software area, so you guys feed me, you guys provide me more and more information, like how you guys are working. So everybody started with their working areas, how they are working, how they are dealing with lot many servers, with lot many requests, how they find the fake request, how they find the genuine request, within how much time they have to complete that particular request, and within how much time they have to provide the results. So these all areas they will provide you slowly. Now when you are listening, at that time you have to find out the key person, who is a key person in that entire team. Second thing, you have to find out who is technically matured or technically good in that particular team. Third thing is who is specialized in particular area in that particular team. So you have to find these three team members first. Second thing, you have to find out while communicating or while working, these guys are also expressing somewhat anger or somewhat pressure. Like I'll give you a simple example. Like in operation team, there is a request or there is some sort of trigger, something is happen with server, and we have to resolve those things within a fraction of second or within 5 minutes. So we have to find out on which server that particular things are happens, mysterious things are happen, what kind of mysterious things are there, and how to resolve it or how to pass it to our next level of team. So L1, L2, L3, these are the levels of team. So I have to find out which team will resolve this particular incident and within how much time. So here these guys are showing somewhat anger and somewhat pressure that if we are not dealing or if we are not closing this particular issue within 5 minutes, then escalations will started and we have to face the escalations with management, sometime with client also, and we have to face some sort of bad word. Here it's not our fault, but due to some reason we are facing these things and we are just dislike these things. So you are now tackling or you are now finding the problems, their paining areas, where exactly the pain they are facing, where exactly the pain they are feeling. You have to find out those paining area and you have to think from agile point of view how you can provide a cure or how you can provide a medicine or solution for that particular pain and how you have to resolve it. So you have to keep these all the things in your mind. First you have to listen from everyone. Now next step is you have to start asking them what kind of pain they are facing. Say for example, sometimes some incidents are happens and some sort of specialized persons are required from team, and all of a sudden that specialized person is not available. Maybe that specialized person is on leave, maybe that specialized person is not available because of some sort of family importance, some sort of personal importance, or some sort of other importance. So we have to deal in such areas and we have to tackle these things within that particular time frame. Now how to deal with these areas? So we are facing some sort of pressure, some sort of uh, pain area. These guys will come up or these guys will started opening up. Maybe these guys will make a balloon uh, with full of air and gas and represent that balloon in front of you. You have to justify or you have to analyze, is this balloon real or is this balloon is fully filled with gas? So after justifying all these things, you have to keep your justification with yourself. You cannot disclose it in front of team or you cannot disclose it in front of the management. Now you have to make a bullet points where exactly team is facing problem, where exactly team is feeling comfortable, how we can continue that comfort in going forward areas, how we can resolve their paining areas. They have some sort of pressure which they cannot avoid or they cannot delay or they cannot um, make any mistake. If they done any mistake, they are facing escalations. If in sort of case or in such areas due to some reason escalations happens, then how to resolve those escalations, how to protect the team, how to find the root cause for those particular areas, and how to represent that root cause in front of management, in front of client, so that escalations will resolve on top level. These escalations will not come towards the team members. So how to handle this situation? You have to make all the things in your mind and you have to make a roadmap. Then slowly you have to provide solutions to these team members regarding their issues, regarding their problems. Say for example, if specialized person is not available when we required, so you have to provide them the solution, like you have to find out alternatives. If this person is not available, then whom should I contact? If that person is also not available, then whom should I contact? Should I directly contact with a senior technical architect? Should I directly contact with a specialized person who is not belonging to my team but can easily resolve my issues or my team's issue? So do I have some sort of plan B, C, D, like that? So you have to provide these solutions and try to help them to find out these peoples. You have to provide, when you are providing such kind of solutions or such kind of medicines to these team members, slowly these team members appreciate your presence. Now when these people or when these team members started appreciating you, at that time tell these team members, guys, I haven't done anything which is kind of miracle. These all solutions come from agile. I'm just providing you the solutions from agile point of view, and these solutions are right now working for you. If you guys just listen one or just attend one or two sessions, you may yourself convince that if you applied the agile, your pressure your pressure will reduce, your burden will reduce, your life will make more and more easy, and you can easily tackle with those all areas where you are receiving the paining. So slowly these guys will accept these things, and these guys will started moving from traditional to agile way. So by this way, guys, you can easily tackle, or you can easily move these team members without hurting their egos, without making a pressure on them that you have to move from your traditional methodology to agile methodology. You can easily convert them in agile. Now, dealing with mini waterfall. So what is mini waterfall or what is mini agile? So I'm providing some sort of examples here. uh, Few teams are applied agile, but what agile these guys are applied, so these guys are running the ceremonies properly within a time frame, and these guys are working in their regular areas, but ceremonies these guys are applied, or these guys are attending the ceremonies just because these ceremonies are available in agile. They even don't know the meaning of their ceremonies. They even don't know why these ceremonies are important, what is the input of these ceremonies, and what is the output of these ceremonies. I am giving a very simple example. Daily stand up 15-minute event. You have to just provide answer of three questions: what I did yesterday, what is the plan for today, and is there any impediments available, or is there any blockers available in my way right now where I want some sort of discussions or some sort of help. That's it. After that, your daily stand up will resolve. If you have 10 members, if every member took only 1 minute, even you can complete your daily stand up within 10 minutes, and rest 5 minutes you can invest in your technical areas. But daily stand up started with mini waterfall, like what they did yesterday, then where exactly they stuck, then discussion started on their blocker areas, rest of the team members are waiting for their turns. This discussion goes on so long. This discussion goes on roles and responsibilities, and even team members, like this person is not doing their job very well, or this person is not available when I required help. So in such areas, so 15 minutes stand up goes almost in 45 minutes to till 60 minutes. There is no meaning. We can't say it as a stand up. So we have to finish the stand up within 15 minutes. Why that stand up is there? Because we are providing the status to team members, not product owner or not scrum master. We are providing our status to our team members, to our team, like what I did yesterday and what is planning for today. Maybe in my today's planning, maybe I required some sort of help from my team leaders, some sort of help from my technical architect, some sort of help from my product owner. So this is a meaning of their communication which which they have to provide within that 15 minutes of standard. That is not a discussion forum, or that is not a discussion area. If we required any sort of discussion, you can continue those discussion after stand up, so that rest of team members can continue their work, and the discussion will happen between those team members whom that particular discussions is required. So this is called mini waterfall. We don't know the agenda, we don't know the meaning, we don't know the input of particular ceremonies, we don't know the output of particular ceremonies, and we are just doing practicing like we are working in our previous areas before applying agile. So this is called mini waterfall or mini agile. And when guys such agile or such waterfall followed by any team, by any project, these guys never get the result properly, these guys never get the success, these guys never get the benefits of agile and not even waterfall. So this is the reason, try to avoid mini waterfall, try to follow agile rather than doing agile. Guys, please make being agile, or please make cultural agile, so that you will get more and more result, you will get 100% result in your day-to-day life. Now when I'm saying 100% result, at that time build a roadmap for your agile and implementation, follow that particular roadmap. While following roadmap, if you feel somewhere you need to improve some sort of areas or some sort of process, you can start improving those process right same time. You can communicate with your team members time to time, you can get their feedback also, you can get suggestion from your team members. Improvement doesn't means only product owner and scrum master can do it. Improvement means your team members will provide you the area where they require the improvements, and what kind of improvement that will be, how those improvements we can apply in our process. So these all the things should be come from team members. You have to listen those all the things. If you feel somewhere some sort of area is not correct, first you listen, after that you have to make a correction in that area and provide those particular area to your team member, provide them why you made correction, what kind of correction you made, and if you are not making correction then what will happen. So with example, if you are providing these pictures to your team members, they can easily understand and they can easily adopt it. Now once you started implementing your agile, once you started following the ceremonies, get to know what exactly the ceremony is, why that ceremony is required, what is the input of ceremony, what is the output of ceremony. If somewhere your ceremony is going out of track, then somebody should raise the hooter. Not only scrum master or product owner's job to raise the hooter, it's a job of team members also, that they have to raise a hooter, that guys, this ceremony is not for this area, we will discuss on this area later on, but currently our agenda is something like this, and we have to discuss only on these points. So we have to make a track and we have to follow that particular track. Now this is a proper agile. Now if I'm saying when there are problems with product ownership, this is a usual problem, like responsibilities. Nobody is take a responsibilities, because in waterfall model all the responsibilities are followed by project owner or product owner. These guys took a decision, these guys provide working areas or cards area to team members, who is working in which area and within how much time that particular person will finish that particular job. So entire things done or entire decision taken by product manager or product owner or project manager. But in agile, these responsibilities are scattered, these responsibilities are divided in teams and in each and every role. If I'm saying product owner, then product owner's job is to deal with customer, to communicate with customer, get the requirement from customer, get the complete information about that particular requirement, make a product backlog for those particular requirement. After making that particular product backlog, explain that particular product backlog to client or to end customer, so that it's just a cross verifying that I am same track where the client team is sitting, or what exactly client is thinking. So I am on the same platform. Once this is done, then product owner provide this product backlog area to Scrum Master to verify the health of product backlog. Now it's a job of Scrum Master to verify the health of entire product backlog. He or she has to read line by line. And why this is line by line? To just understand what exactly that particular requirement is and what exactly client required from team side using that particular requirement. This is a layman job. If I'm just writing a requirement, say for example, I have to make a coffee, so I have to add hot water with coffee and sugar. I have to mix it very well, and then I'll add some sort of milk, and my coffee is ready. So this may be a description or steps of my requirement. I'm providing this all requirement to a peon of office, and I'll ask them just fulfill this requirement. Now peon is non-technical person, but after reading that particular all the requirements, my peon just look at me, just give me a smile and says, you want a coffee? No problem, I'll make it for you. So that person understand what to do and how to do and what kind of coffee I required. Maybe I required a plain coffee, maybe I required a black coffee, maybe I required a filtered coffee. So I have provided that information in my requirement, and I got that coffee particularly from my peon. So that much crystal clarity should available in your product backlog when you are designing it. So Scrum Master's job is to just analyze that is the product backlog that much crystal clear. If that much crystal clear, then Scrum Master will pass it to team members. Now it's a team member's job to read it entirely and find out the analysis or make an analysis on each and every requirement, like what kind of product backlog this is, what kind of work we have to do, from where we have to start, from where we have to say my work is done, where this particular requirement is fitted in production environment. They should know a little bit picture about production environment so that they can analyze, okay, if I'm working on this particular card or if I'm working on this particular requirement, then this particular requirement will fitted in the particular queue area of production. And once it fitted there, then from which area this particular requirement get input and where this particular requirement will provide the output, where exactly that output will go. So these all the things team members should know. Now this is a plain or generic roles and responsibility. Now we have some sort of specialized roles and responsibility. Say for example, team members are working somewhere. Due to some reason, they are facing some sort of risk which are unidentified. Now they have to find out, is this risk business related? If this risk is business related, immediately they can communicate with product owner. So product owner should be available in that particular time for their team members. If product owner is not available, in the absence of product owner, team members or business analysts should be available, who is working parallelly with product owner, so that if product owner is not available, I can directly communicate with business analyst and I can discuss that particular risk with business analyst, because it's some sort of business risk. If it's a risk of technical area or technological area, then I have to communicate with my chief architect or my solution architect. My solution architect should be available at that time. If my solution architect is not available, then I should have a point of contact or COE for that particular technical area or technical specialized area. Say for example, I'm working in some sort of Java, so I should know 2 to 3 person who are very specialized in Java, so that within 5-10 minutes or within 30 minutes discussion, I can resolve my problem with these guys. Maybe it's a coffee break, and within that coffee break I'm discussing my issue with that particular person, and that particular person is giving me a solution. So this should be available. These roles and responsibilities we can provide when we are starting agile with our teams or with any sort of project areas. So we have to identify who is responsible for which area, who is a backup of which person, who is which person doesn't have backup. In such cases, what should we do or how to handle that particular situation if arises in future. So we have to make some sort of plan for those areas also, so that if in in terms of or in such areas, if we face some sort of situations or some sort of risk areas or some sort of blocker areas, then we have a plan ready, and we have to follow that particular plan, so that we will not lose the time particularly, and we can easily implement our work within a time frame, or we can complete our work within a time frame. So this is the reason, guys, ownership is very important, responsibilities are very important. You have to provide these roles and responsibilities to your team members and your higher management also, and even you have to provide them a ultimatum that whenever we required, you should available. If you are not available, you have to provide us a backup person who will resolve our problems or who will resolve our queries and questions. Now if I am saying there are too many meetings, say for example my team is facing some sort of issues, maybe some sort of blockers, maybe some sort of risk, maybe some sort of disengagement with requirement, or assumptions on the requirements, and when they started work on those particular requirement, they came to know that they are they have some sort of misinterpretation, or they have some sort of confusions, and this is the reason they are started they are started providing invites, meeting invites, and meeting invites goes in a larger area. So in a full day, in a 8 hours day, I am facing 5 to 6 meeting every day. So I am investing actually my 5 to 6 hours in meeting, and I just have only 1 or 2 hours for my technical works. So how will I complete my technical work within this short time frame? So this will make some sort of pressure on me, this will make some sort of tension in front of me, and I have to resolve it. And when, guys, there is a pressure, when there is a tension, it may chance that team members can make a massive mistake, mistakes which are not expected from them. So we have to reduce these things. Root cause is too many meetings or too larger meetings. So I'm providing a suggestion, a very simple suggestion, that you can reduce these meetings by communicating with team members. Say for example, if I have meetings basically to showcase or to provide some sort of agenda, maybe I'll upload my agenda in my Confluence pages, and I'll provide that link by mail to my all team members. Whenever they have time, they can just visit that particular page and they can view that particular agenda. If they have any sort of queries or question, they can directly communicate with me using my chat tool, or using immediate meeting request. Say for example, if I had raised a agenda of particular process of a particular technical area, working area, I have provided that agenda and I had notified to my all team members. Even on chat also I have provided them that I had updated agenda in Confluence. You just have to visit those pages, you just view it, analyze yourself, and if you have any query question, you can ask it to me, I'll resolve it. Now whenever they have time, they just visited it and they found some sort of queries like how to implement these particular technical events in our project area, or how to continue our work if we are doing some sort of changes in our work. So they have these questions or these queries. They can either write to me on chat, or they can directly come to my desk. They can ask me if we are sitting under one roof. If we are sitting on geographical area, they can ping me and they can ask me, do you have 5-10 minutes? We can just have a discussion. We will finish it within 5-10 minutes and we can continue our work. Maybe this is one-on-one invite. Maybe I'm discussing this with one-on-one person, or maybe this is a discussion with bunch of team members. So depend, but I have to complete this discussion within best time frame, within a few minutes. Say for example 20 minutes, 30 minutes, I have to complete it, and I have to release my team so that they can invest more and more time in their technical work. If they are doing follow up for particular impediments, if they are waiting for communication for particular areas, they have to divert these things to scrum master or product owner, so that product owner and scrum master will take care of these areas, will communicate with proper person and get the solution or get the information properly and provide this information to team members. Till the time team members can invest their time or their uh, working area in technical things, they have to deal with technical areas and they have to complete it. So like this guys, you can easily reduce your meeting count, your daily meeting counts, and you can easily manage your technical work. Now there are some more solutions also. Don't plan on getting any work done during any meeting days. If you have lot many meetings, say for example usually Monday is a meeting day because there are management meeting, there are client meetings, there are team meetings, everybody required some sort of updates. uh, Client and management want updates from team side, scrum master and product owner wants the updates from team sides. So lot many meetings are going on in Monday. So maybe Monday I'm not considering for my technical work. Monday is full day for meeting day. I'm just conducting as many meetings as I can. I can get the updates. I can get all the inputs Monday, and rest of the day I will provide my team members free hand so that they will continue their work and they can invest their time in their technical areas. Give yourself in between time or schedule your meetings in one area, or maybe you can ask the agenda in advance. If particular persons are required, you can invite only those persons, and rest of the team members you can just bypass from that particular agenda. You can filter out unimportant meetings from your schedule, and you can invest that time in your technical areas. Even you can run synchronous meeting. You can report your metrics in your Confluence pages rather than your meetings. You can share your background or your feedback or your information in Confluence pages rather than sharing in meetings. You can pitch new project through forms, not during the meetings. You can teach your teams how to protect themselves from such kind of meetings and such kind of ways. So these are the solutions available guys for you. Now if you are problems with deadlines, yeah, so guys we are facing these issues in majority of areas. Who will set the deadline and who will follow the deadline? So guys, stakeholder is a person who have a stake in that particular project, who is dealing with client, who is communicating with client, and who is helping us to getting a fresh and filtered requirement. So stakeholder is a person who can set up a deadline. While setting up a deadline, uh, it's a job of product owner and scrum master to communicate with stakeholder, to set up a deadline, provide them actual dependencies and risk which are available in team, in terms of project, in terms of availability of team members, in terms of availability of technical things, technical resources. You have to provide in all these area, and based on this you have to communicate with stakeholder, and then you have to ask them to set up a deadline, so that whenever stakeholders set up a deadline, stakeholders should consider all these points, and it should not be create any sort of pressure or any sort of uh, other things on your team members. Now when stakeholder is dealing with deadline, if due to some reason you require to change the deadline, or if you want to change the deadline, you have to provide the justifiable reasons to your stakeholders. Say for example, dependencies are there, risks are there, communication delays are there, or some blockers are there. Some blockers are there where you cannot do anything, or it's out of your hand, out of your boundaries. So you have to provide these areas, these pictures to your stakeholders, and request them to change the deadlines. If stakeholder is there, product owner is also working as a stakeholder, guys, in agile. So if your product owner is available, maybe your product owner can provide a scope of project, product owner can increase the scope of project, product owner can provide you a bigger picture, a larger picture of project, and also provide where exactly you are right now and where you have to reach, and by which way we will go or we will travel to reach our goal. So these all the areas stakeholders or product owner provides in entire project. If product owner is not available or product owner is not reachable, in that case business analyst, business owner, or stakeholders are the person who will provide you these all areas, these all pictures, or these all scopes. Now you are not communicating often in your project, so this may be create a chaos. So you have to communicate with your team members every time. As an agile coach, you have to communicate with your product owner and your stakeholders also. You have to get the updated information from these area or these roles, and you have to try to pass these updated information to your team members, or even you have to verify that whatever updated information you have, that particular information scrum master and team also have, so that you all are available on same platform. Nobody is available on different platforms or on different thinking. You have to make sure these all the things, guys, as an agile coach. When you are doing all these things, at that time you are driving your project very well, and without any flaw you will get the result, you will get the success time to time, and you will never face a last moment surprise. One more thing, guys, here, lot many agile myths are also available. So it's a job of agile coach that agile coach should deal with such kind of myths. I'm giving some sort of example. Product owner is replacing a job of project manager or product manager. So this is a myth. This is not true. Product owner is completely different entity. Product owner or project owner is completely different entity. Their jobs, roles, and responsibilities are completely different. Scrum master is a servant leader person, guys. Here most of teams are just put the word servant and drop the leader word. They consider scrum master as a servant and ask scrum master to schedule their meetings, to deal with their problems. Even they started ordering scrum master. So this is actually myth. Scrum master is there to help them. Actually scrum master is person who always sitting outside the boundary and helping the entire team, and helping the entire product owner's job also to coach product owner to try to make their team more and more powerful. Scrum master is not a servant, scrum master is a servant leader. So this is basically a different, and this is a myth which is usually team drives. uh, Third is maybe it's a very common that we are following agile ceremonies, so we are following the agile. This is again a myth, guys. Just to follow the ceremonies or just to follow the principles or guidelines as a rule doesn't means you are doing agile. You are doing mini waterfall. You are not actually doing agile, or you are not actually being agile. So this is again a myth. There are lot many such kind of myth, guys, available in our software world or in many organizations. So it's a job of agile coach who can correct these myths, who can deal with these myths, and who can remove these myths from our team members mind or when dealing with difficult or hard teams. So this is our today's session, guys. If anyone have any sort of queries, any sort of questions, can ask me. Anybody? Anyone? Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so I am giving a very simple example. Product owner collect all the requirements from client. Product owner design a product backlog, and product owner write down each and every requirement in understandable language. Now, even this is happen out of 10, almost 8 product owners are non-technical persons. They are mostly fluent in business, but they are lacking in technology, and they are collecting all the technical requirements from client. So it's a job of scrum master. When scrum master read that particular requirement, at that time at least scrum master should understand what exactly team should have to do. No doubt, if the requirement is completely technical, we can pass it to team members. But why Scrum Master is jumping to save team members' time? If those requirements are not in understandable format or not in readable format, then it's a wastage of team members' time. Rather than investing time in these areas, team member can continue their work in their technical areas, and this is a job of team members on the behalf of team. Scrum master is doing out of 10, almost 3 to 2 to 3 requirements are completely technical, where scrum master may not understand. So scrum master can after read these requirements, scrum master can communicate with either solution architect or specialized person from team members and get the information what exactly this requirement is and is it crystal clear. So based on that information, if that requirement is not crystal clear, scrum master can pass it to product owner and provide the queries and questions which scrum master get from specialized person or technical architect. After that, maybe scrum master pass those requirement to technical team members, so that it's just checking a health of product backlog, where the product backlog is in a readable format or not. First thing. Second thing, it is in understandable format or not. Third thing, which comes from team members, that whatever information is provided in that particular requirement is complete or not, or do we require some sort of more information in those areas. So this is the reason Scrum Master is participating in these areas.
Maybe since the team is already doing the refinement, right? So I'm sure most of the Scrum teams are doing the refinement, couple of refinements in the 2 week of the sprint or 3 week of the sprint.
Yeah.
On that refinement itself, the people are going to dive into the user stories. The product owner or maybe the technical lead of the team should uh, elaborate about the stories, what is all about. So the people are already discussed all this thing into the refinement itself, and why it is required for, another round of dive from the team side or the Scrum Master side, because it is already incorporated in the refinement calls.
Yeah. So your product backlog refinement or product backlog grooming is a meeting for which this is a input. If I have 100 requirements, within that 10 requirements are on priority, but those 10 requirements are not understandable, and if I took those 10 requirement in my grooming session or in my refinement session, then I'm investing not only my team members time but my time as well as product owners times also. So before starting refinement, I have to verify, as a scrum master I have to verify that these requirements are crystal clear for team.
Sorry to interrupt you here.
Yeah.
Sorry, cousin. Sorry to interrupt you. I understood that thing, but before that, refinement as well. So whenever any of the use cases of the Epic is coming towards the team side,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Before that, there will another way of Epic refinement workshop will be happening in the team. So on that particular meeting, team is already aware about what they are going to do in the next couple of months or 3 months down the line. So they are aware of the fact that what they are going to do in the use cases in the storyline in the down the line in 3 months. So they are aware of the things. The refinement is, I think, the meeting they are already know about the one step ahead of the user use cases, and based on that use cases, the product owner and technical leader creating the stories, right?
I agreed with you. And the one of a meeting which you says they know what they have to do within next down the line 1 month or 3 months. So whatever the discussions happen in that particular meeting or whatever required for that particular meeting, this is just the input for those meetings. Based on this input, these guys will discuss. Even in those particular meetings, these guys discuss that we required this information for this particular requirement, and product owner says I do not have this information. So I will communicate with client again. I will get this particular information regarding this particular requirement, and I'll update it in my product backlog, and then we will discuss this particular requirement in our product grooming session. So this has also happened, and this is the reason this practice is I'm just suggesting this practice for scrum master to avoid such kind of situations. Otherwise what happens, in almost 90 minutes product grooming session, first two requirements are discussed. In third requirement, when product owner provided the information and when team members started asking some sort of business question, some sort of technical questions, after that product owner realized that some sort of information is missing, or that information he doesn't have, or he doesn't get from client. So product owner openly says that we do not have this information right now. I'll communicate with client again, I'll get this information, and then we will continue our discussion on this particular topic. But till reaching those area or till reaching that point, they already invested some sort of time. If I'm saying 10 minutes from every team members and I have 10 team members in my entire team, so I'm investing 100 minutes almost for that particular discussion, whereas I can invest that 100 minutes for any particular technical works. So to avoid this situation, these practices you can do, you can refer, I'm just suggesting.
Okay.
Yeah, please, please.
Okay. So you mentioned that there might be lot of meetings complaint coming from team side. So don't you think we can definitely solve this problem with the capacity planning itself beforehand once whenever we are doing the sprint planning?
Yeah, definitely. In our capacity planning, we always considered the meeting, but after that also, when actual sprint started, at that time in capacity planning, we consider only those meetings which are identical or which we are already identified. But unidentified meeting, say for example, all of a sudden risk is appear, and to resolve this risk, I need to communicate with either stakeholder or either specialized person or either my technical architect, solution architect, and those meetings goes longer, which are not identified when I am doing my sprint planning or when I am doing my product backlog grooming session. So these are some unidentified meetings, count goes more and more, and we have to avoid it. Even I'm saying, if one person is facing this issue, maybe we can involve only that particular person rather than involving the entire team, because rest of the team members are maybe just sitting ideal. They may listen, they may not listen properly in that particular meeting, but they have invested their timing in that particular meeting. So this is the reason it's impacted on our deadlines, it impacted on our targeted solutions, and this is the reason we can identify which meeting is really important, which meeting we may bypass or we can may consider as an optional, and we can skip it and we can continue our work. Even if team members have issue to identify these things, team member can communicate with their technical architect or solution architect, or with scrum master or product owner. Scrum master and product owner can help them in business related meetings, and technical architect can help them in their technical related meetings, which meeting they have to accept, or which meeting they have to attend from technical point of view, and which meeting they can avoid. I hope I.
Yeah, true that.
Yeah.
No, true that, because I understand, because look, if we are taking Sam example with the daily stand up as well. So most of the time when 50 minutes are lapsed with the discussion, then sometimes some of the people require some more discussion, so we can already engage the parties who are required for the more discussion afterwards. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, I have probably some more questions, but since the time is not, uh, we are already out of time after
You
after
can
this lecture. Yeah.
you can write to me your all question. I'll answer all the questions
Yeah,
by
yeah,
mail.
sure, sure. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Anybody have any more questions? Any more queries, confusions? Yeah, definitely. But unfortunately, I am facing some sort of technical issue here. I'm not able to see the chat window. Documentation is actually not available. Videos are available, and videos are available on YamTube. If you search Agile Coach Training on YamTube, then maybe you will find my all previous sessions. Documentation as such is not available for any previous session. Yeah, it's a videos which right now I'm yeah, you are saying something. Okay, so if you found something like that, you can write to me on email. I will provide you more and more uh, detail areas in that particular areas which I miss, because this slideshows I created, but whatever is available in this slideshow in bullet pointing, I am just explaining those bullet pointing without taking a name of that particular bullet point. Say for example, stakeholder creates deadline, or stakeholder increase the scope of work, or maybe project deliverables, or project requirements, or management requirement. I'm not taking these names, but I'm providing the detailed discussion about these areas. If you miss something, you can write to me and I'll provide you those discussions also. But there is no as such document right now I have. Oh, okay. Actually, I can create documents, but it's a time crunch for me. So this is the reason I'm not able to create the document, and this is the reason I'm even making these all sessions videos, so that it's easy for everyone who miss my session, or somewhere who just miss the focus. So those team member can easily get those focus and get that information. This is the reason I'm creating these videos and uploading it on YamTube. Yeah. Ah. Okay, okay, okay.
So Gajanan, the YouTube is in the same page and where we have the Yum page.
uh, these videos are available on YamTube. Yam.
Please place the URL in the chat window.
I'm very sorry, today I'm not able to access the chat. This is somewhat technical problem I am facing
Okay.
with Cisco. But if you go on YamTube, you can search their Agile Coach training. This is
I
the group.
I am on the Yum page basically, and on the Yum page, if I'm searching that
You can search their YamTube
was
now. Yeah, Yam page and YamTube both are different links. Ah, this is a link, I guess.
okay.
Yeah, even it available on Lex group also.
Yeah, yeah, I got it.
Yeah, yeah. Anyone have any more questions, queries? No queries, no question. Yeah. So thank you so much, guys, for joining my session. I'm concluding my session. We will meet in tomorrow's session uh, with new topics. Till the time, guys, please be safe and have a nice day. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you very much, Gajanan.
Thank you.